In May 1945, as World War II came to an end in Europe, a different kind of battle was already underway. Not on the front lines, but behind closed doors. The United States and the Soviet Union, once allies, were now turning into rivals. Both knew that the next war would not be fought with tanks and soldiers, but with technology, rockets, and nuclear power. But there was a problem. The most advanced military technology of that time was not developed in America or Russia. It was created in Nazi Germany. Project V2, jet aircraft, nerve agents, the most dangerous innovations of the war were built by Nazi scientists. And both the US and the USSR wanted those mines for themselves. And so began Operation Paperclip, a secret mission to capture, cleanse, and repurpose Nazi scientists in service of the United States. At the center of Operation Paperclip was one man, Wernher von Braun, the brilliant, ambitious, and controversy-shrouded engineer behind the deadly V2 rocket. Von Braun, like many German scientists, had joined the Nazi Party to secure funding for his research. His team at Peenemünde built weapons that terrorized London and Antwerp, killing thousands. Yet to American military leaders, he was a genius, a once-in-a-generation mind who could take mankind to outer space. He was not alone. Over 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians were secretly brought to the United States under Operation Paperclip, despite many of them being Nazi Party members, SS officers, and in some cases directly linked to forced labor and war crimes. The V2 rocket, Vergeltungswaffe 2, or Retribution Weapon 2, was the world's first long-range guided ballistic missile. It was the first human-made object to reach the edge of space. By late 1944, these rockets were being launched at London and other cities with no warning and devastating impact. They were faster than sound. You would never hear them coming. To the US military, the V2 was more than a weapon. It was a glimpse into the future. If America could control this technology, it could build missiles that reached the moon or Moscow. Operation Paperclip wasn't just a recruitment program, it was a cover-up. The US government knew that many of these scientists had worked with slave labor, had SS connections, or had sworn loyalty to Hitler. So documents were forged, files were sanitized, past crimes were buried. American officials erased Nazi affiliations from records so these men could enter the US with clean identities. Many of them were given homes, high salaries, and secure positions, while at the same time, actual Holocaust survivors and war refugees struggled to rebuild their lives.
Once in America, many paperclip scientists were placed in military bases such as Fort Bliss, Texas, but others were moved into top-secret programs. Wernher von Braun became the chief architect of the Saturn V rocket that took humans to the moon. Others worked on intercontinental missiles, chemical weapons, or mind control experiments. To the American public, they were never introduced as former Nazis. They were labeled as German specialists, heroes of science, not war criminals.
Operation Paperclip sparked a deep ethical controversy inside the American government itself. While military leaders were focused on gaining a technological edge over the Soviet Union, others, particularly at the Justice and State Department, were horrified. How could the United States, just months after defeating Nazism, suddenly offer protection and high-paying jobs to the very men who helped Hitler wage war? For many, the answer was simple. The Cold War had already begun, and morality had no place in it. The enemy of my enemy, became my asset, even if that enemy was once a Nazi. For decades, the truth about Operation Paperclip was hidden from the public. Journalists and historians tried to uncover the story, but documents were classified, files were missing, and government spokespeople denied everything. It wasn't until the 1980s and 1990s, thanks to the Freedom of Information Act and surviving witnesses, that the true scale of the mission was revealed, and the American public learned that many of their Cold War achievements were built on the knowledge of Nazi war criminals. The revelation raised serious questions. Was victory in the space race worth it? What does justice mean when national security is at stake? Behind the rockets and science, there was a darker truth. Many of the scientists recruited through Operation Paperclip had overseen forced labor camps and used concentration camp prisoners to build weapons. The Mittelwerk facility, hidden in underground tunnels, was one such place. Thousands of prisoners died constructing V-2 rockets under brutal conditions. Their suffering was erased from the official story. While former Nazis lived comfortable lives in America, those who were victims of their experiments and labor died nameless, their voices silenced. Today, America's space program, NASA, is often celebrated as one of the greatest achievements in human history, but its foundations are deeply complicated. Without Operation Paperclip, the United States might never have landed on the moon in 1969. But this achievement came with a price: rewriting history, ignoring war crimes, and turning a blind eye to justice. Operation Paperclip continues to shape America's scientific and military landscape. It remains a reminder that in the world of power and survival, morality is often the first casualty. Operation Paperclip is not just a story of espionage and technology. It's a moral warning. It shows how quickly principles can be abandoned when fear and competition become the driving forces. The United States won the space race. It gained unparalleled military power, but it did so while protecting and empowering some of the most dangerous men of the 20th century, all in the name of national security. History rarely gives us clean victories. Instead, it gives us choices, and the price we must live with when those choices are made.